Put some clothes on.
All right, welcome to the Central Florida High School Scoreboard Show right here on Varsity Sports Nation. The drive to the 305, round 3. I'm Dan LaForest. That is AJ Brooks, Baylin Trujillo, and welcome back our friend from PrepRedzone Florida, Larry Blustein. Guys, big weekend. That big second round had a lot of great. We had some expected wins. We had some not so expected wins, but the first thing we have to get to is AJ, Baylin. How did you guys do picking against each other?
I think we had the same picks. I think we tied up. I'm still up one game on the year, so I'm gonna just copy them and then I'll do it.
Larry, a lot of excitement going into Miami here in 3 weeks. Pitbull Stadium down at FIU Stadium. Let's talk a little bit about your opinion, your analysis of the 2024 season so far.
Yeah, kind of crazy though, with all the storms and everything being kind of shifted around. And I think that extending the season by a week was different. And I think that moving forward, they need to have 2 bye weeks during the year, obviously, because while we don't have hurricanes every year, thank goodness, we do have a lot of lightning in Florida, and those kind of push games back. But what this did this year is there's a lot of games that were canceled early on that may not have been played if they didn't have that extra week. And I think even though a lot of the schools didn't want to play that extra week because they had no real bearing, I think that people finally came together and said, hey, listen, these kids need extra film, let's not stand in their way just because you don't want to play a non-district game, and I thought that was pretty good. And but season was kind of crazy. I think that, when you look right now, 6 defending state champions still remain. I think Berkeley Prep is the only one, I believe.
Berkeley got knocked off by Cocoa last week.
So they're the only ones. You have St. Thomas, a 5-time defending state champion. They're right there. Lakeland is a 2-time defending state champion. Chaminade's a 3-time defending state champion. Columbus is a 2-time defending state champion. Cardinal Mooney's the defending state champion. And Cocoa's 2-time defending state champion. So everybody's alive going into the to the region finals. And as you said, there's some pretty interesting games, around the state that could test a lot of these teams. Columbus obviously has a tough game this week against a Western team that comes in there 6-6. But, I was just telling AJ, they should have been a 2 seed, but, that happens, and you use an ineligible player and you have to pay for it. And that's, and certainly Central paid for it this year. If they find Northwestern used one at the end of the year, they'll pay for it, and just can't do bad things. You can't do illegal things because especially nowadays, guys, there's too much on the internet. People are, especially in South Florida, where everybody's trying to knock each other off. And but to answer your question, it was kind of a strange season, but it's starting to shape up like we're going to have 2 pretty good weeks of state championships, starting with the Rural next week at the Villages, and then 7 state championship games in Miami. And and they should be good ones. I mean, there's some newbies in the in the mix, like Gadsden County, which at the beginning of the year, I'm sure nobody picked Bowles in Gadsden County to be in the region finals in the north. There were some other good teams, but they came through. Yeah, and 6A, obviously, you got a good rematch. Or 7A, you got a good rematch with Lake Mary and Seminole, which I think is going to be really, really good. And it's good for the area. It's good for high school football in Seminole County and, in Orlando area. So, yeah, there's some old faces, but there's some new faces that, could push a couple of people out this week.
Larry, I have a quick question.
Go ahead, Baylin.
Yeah, I have a quick question. Let's go back to that Northwestern thing because I know it just popped up again. They got hit with it, I think, one game this regular season, and now they're kind of under investigation again from what I hear last week. But they're still remaining to play. When is the FHSAA going to finally do something about this to make it earlier? Because we don't – I hate the fact that, like, a couple of years ago, Armwood got hit with it, Central got hit with it, and that was post-championship. And after they either won it or lost it, then the whole entire season forfeited. But then you got teams that are doing it the right way that lose to these teams in the playoffs, and then they're just stuck watching. And then next year that classification is no champion because of a forfeit for the entire season. When is FHSAA going to finally just do something when they figure it out and then either suspend them or do something or either get the investigation faster? Because let's say Northwestern goes and starts winning it and they should win it all. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, yeah, they indeed did play a 20-year-old that should never been there. And now the whole season forfeited. Now no one gets to be a champion and going through the grind and, stuff like that. So what is your thought on that, Larry?
You're 100% right, Baylin. But, I always look at it like this. If Northwestern gets to the state championship game, they bring 12,000 fans. So the FHSAA is temporarily blind. If it was anybody else, I think that they would have put them on probation already. But, they don't want to cut off their head. And they know that if Northwestern's in that finals, they'll bring at least 12,000 people.
I'm looking more at the dollar sign than what's actually morally right.
Well, you're 100% right, but look at how college sports is and all the sports it's all come down to the dollars now, and then everybody the one thing that somebody will say to you, Baylin, is you want to pay the bills, and but you're 100% right because like you remember it happened with Central Armwood that year where both teams had a forfeit, vacate the spot, but. Yeah, I just think that they found out just 2 weeks ago that it was, that there was really some serious allegations, and they didn't. If they would have taken Northwestern out of the mix, then it kind of would have diluted. Especially you already have Central out of the mix in that region, so I feel just they were looking. They said, listen, I just think that if they are found guilty, that it will. It's sort of like a dead ball foul. I think that they're going to impose it next year. I think that they won't have, postseason next year, just like Central did. But I don't think that they're going to put the sanctions this year because there's going to be an investigation. And if they are found, and they most likely will be because they did the same thing that Central did, that I think it all goes into next year. That next year they'll have to pay the price. And, and the thing is, and you and AJ know this better than anybody, boy, you're penalizing all these kids. And, Central parents, the seniors, they're calling me all the time and they're just so upset. And I don't blame them. These kids had nothing to do with that. I mean, and I understand. And the whole thing is now if you have something that like you're talking about now at Northwestern, at least next year, when they find them and say to them, listen, you're not going to be eligible for a postseason, at least it. All of a sudden you come in there and rip the kids' hearts out when they didn't care or know. That's not their job to know if a kid's too old. And, if it didn't happen, the Central thing happened with a kid who used to play with the young man. And he just had said in passing, he goes, that guy was a year ahead of me in youth league. How come he's in the same grade as me now? So that's where that all came from. And that's what I said. In this day and age, guys, of social media and everybody knowing everybody's business and, playing with these guys ever since youth football league, everybody knows everything. So this should be a warning because it doesn't really happen. Well, First Academy did. I mean, but they kind of knew, all along that what they were doing was was a little bit different. But I think what's going to happen now is this is going to be a learning tool, and people are going to have to understand that you're not going to be able to get away with this stuff anymore, and rightfully so. It just hurts though when these innocent kids, who had so much to look forward to their senior years, like Ezekiel Marceline, is going to Miami, and Floyd Picard and guys like that who had nothing to do with the, with all this. But, and you're right, Baylin, you're 100% right. I mean, what is right is right. But I think what they're going to do in this case is they're going to do the investigation at the end of the year. Won't worry about this year's team, but next year they'll kind of give it to them next year.
AJ, you got a quick question before we get started?
Nah, it was same topic. They didn't read my mind.
I got one last question. This is the first year we got away from the Metro Suburban in 7 classifications, not 8 as previous. How do you feel this is paired out as far as equal opportunity from a standpoint?
Well, I think the rural kind of evened it up too, because you have some teams that were in rural that were A last year, or at whatever they won 1R, but they were part of that mix, So I think what it's done, and you're taking teams, like Venice and Lakeland and those type of programs and throwing them into where they should be. They should be into the mix with all these other teams. And I mean, why should the Orlando and Miami and Tampa teams have to play everybody, but they get to kind of pick and choose? I mean, we know that the areas, in the Venice area is not real good other than Venice. And the same thing with Lakeland. You don't have anybody in Polk County that's going to push Lakeland. So I think now where Lakeland will have to play, Tampa Bay Tech this week, and, eventually, have to play, a pretty decent state semifinal. And then most likely we'll have to go up against like a St. Thomas Aquinas in the finals. I mean, and it's, Venice is great. Don't get me wrong. And they probably will go on and, play one of the Lake Mary or Seminole for the state championship. But I just think that to answer your question, I think what it's done is it's given everybody an opportunity to play on a level field. And, I mean, like last year, the big thing is everybody kept saying, well, if Lakeland or Venice were playing against like a St. Thomas and a Columbus, they may not have won. So this year, that won't be that question. Either they do or they don't.
All right, guys, let's get right into it. We'll go right into 1A. Providence loses University Christian 24-21. University Christian moves on to the regional championship. And Blue, Trinity Christian out of Jacksonville knocks off McClay. They now play University Christian for the regional championship this Friday night.
Yeah, they played before, and isn't this usually the way that things work out? It does, and this is not the Trinity that we know. I mean, they're good, but they're not. They're not going to beat a Clearwater Central Catholic. They're not that deep, but it's a good area team. A 4 versus 2. So I think it. But Trinity's still good enough to win that region.
All right, let's move on to Region 2. Clearwater Central Catholic just blanks Carrollwood Day 45-0. Blue.
They're the team. I mean, that's what everybody said. They were looking forward to possibly, facing the First Academy, in this next round. This could have been it. This could have been the round where they would have faced them. And, yeah, they're good. They're really good. And they've been tested, and they played a tough schedule. And, certainly they deserve to be where they were. Lakeland Christian's a good team, but they don't have the depth to hang with Triple C there.
Yeah, and Lakeland Christian, Baylin knocks off OCP 48-20. OCP had just squeaked by Melbourne Central Catholic, but Baylin, it looks like that's the end of the road for the Warriors. You're on mute, Bay.
Sorry about that. There's nothing really to talk about here with OCP. But, yeah, great season. The train stops there like we called it last week. Thought I would see Brogan McNabb in the semifinal here, but did not happen. And great job to OCP for doing that. But yeah, Lakeland Christian is a more proven team consistently, especially in the FHSAA. I know OCP was a powerhouse about a decade ago. But this is what we're gonna get. But there's no way that Lakeland Christian gets past triple C's here.
Yeah, AJ, Clearwater Central Catholic has been a dominant force all year long. Lakeland Christian's had a heck of a year though.
Yeah, Lakeland Christian had a good season, but I think after this week it'll be what you say, Baylin? Helmets to the right, shoulder pads to the left. Central Clearwater triple C, they're the favorite right now, in my opinion, easily in this bracket at least. So I like them to continue the victory.
All right, Larry, let's run into Region 3. Cardinal Newman takes care of Community School 42-0, and First Baptist knocks off Benjamin 34-20. That sets up First Baptist at Cardinal Newman this Friday night.
Well, Cardinal Newman road tested. Their only loss was at Buchholz on a Thursday night, and they lost 14-7. And Buchholz is still alive. Good team. Jack Downs has done a tremendous job. You remember he used to bring Dwyer to this level every single year when they had all those studs like Elam and O'Leary and players like that, Jacoby Brissett. Naples First Baptist is a good team. I mean, but they were a better team when they had to be in 1S, and play Ocala Trinity or play, schools like that. It's just Cardinal Newman's too tested. They're too big, and they just in their home. And I don't think First Baptist will stay with them. It'll be close for a while, but I think depth will wear them down.
All right, let's get into the Region 4. Chaminade Madonna does what Chaminade Madonna does, 70-0 over St. Andrews. And Miami Edison, Uncle Luke is on a roll, 47-39 over True North, Larry.
Yeah. Well, that roll will end sometime around 9 or 8:30. They'll have a running clock faster than you could believe. They beat them 56-19 the first time. So, it's nice while it lasted, but Chaminade has outscored the two opponents 139-0. And I don't think that's the one thing is maybe Edison will put a couple of points on the board just for the hell of it. But now Chaminade's as good as they've been. That a couple of close games, and remember the schedule that they played, guys. I mean, it's been a tough schedule. They beat St. Thomas, which is, it's pretty impressive. They waited 40 years to play that game. But they beat them. They beat Heritage in the last second. They've had a really tough schedule. And, that's – move on.
There we go. Let's get right into 2A. You mentioned it before. Gaston County knocks off FSU High 42-11. And Bowles takes out Walton 35-0. That sets up Bowles at Gaston County this Friday night, Larry.
This is Gaston County's second region final. This is Jackson Bowles' 29th. So a little discrepancy as far as but remember, a lot of these kids never were at that level. But you got to give Bowles credit. I mean, all year long, they stayed strong. They're 10-1. But there might be something a little bit magical about Gadsden County. Their only loss this year was to Coffee County, defending Georgia state champion. They beat Lincoln by 10. This is a good football team. This is one of the better games too, I think, in the state.
Tell you what, guys, let's move right into Region 2. Baylin. Coco takes out Berkeley Prep 37-12.
Yeah, no, Brady Hart and company. I don't think that there was any doubt that this was going to happen. Honestly, I think Coco literally blows out every single team that they're going to face, even in the final. I don't think it's going to be close. I think they're the Chaminade of this classification. Obviously when you got a duo like Brady Hart and Javon Boggs, then you got Javion Hilson. I mean, you're talking about guys that none of these guys on their rosters can really compete with. And so when you look at like Berkeley Prep, what a great run they had last year. This is not the same team, but they still have a lot of, hype around the program, beating a Norland team, which no one ever thought that was going to happen. Maybe they thought that this could be an upset, but not even close. It was ugly when it first started. Brady was texting me at halftime already. I believe it was like 30-12 or 30-6. Game was over. So, yeah, Cocoa moves on, and I think they even have an easier test. I wish it would have been a Bradford team, and I know they're down, but like from a name standpoint, this team's they used to, they collide the last couple of years in really good matchups. But yeah, there's no way Cocoa loses in this final, and they're coast to the state championship game.
And AJ, it seems like some of the reports I saw, Cocoa actually ran the ball fairly well against Berkeley as well.
Yeah, Cocoa. I think they could win in a variety of ways. I did not see that versus Norland, so I'm glad that they were able to get the run game going. But you mentioned Hilson. Didn't he just commit to Michigan?
Somebody said that, but I haven't seen that. Did y'all see that?
I saw it yesterday. So you talk about Michigan connection right there. So yeah, I like Cocoa for sure. And like you said, I thought that Bradford would beat Newberry. So I am a little surprised with that game.
Newberry's had a year, though. You got to give them credit. Ed Johnson's done a tremendous job. 3 of his 5 defensive linemen are going power 4. So, I mean, they're a pretty good football team, but you're right. Coco's at a different level, a 2-time defending state champions, and I don't see any reason why they shouldn't at least run this round.
All right, so I'm assuming you guys have your predictions set here, guys.
Yeah, Cocoa, for sure.
Yeah, Cocoa.
Let's move into Region 3. Larry, Cardinal Mooney takes out Kings Academy 56-28. Bishop Vero takes out Lakewood 25-12. Bishop Vero goes to Cardinal Mooney this Friday night.
Yeah, don't sleep on Mooney. Longest winning streak in the state, defending state champions. Jared Clark has done an awesome job. This team, they got the biggest line that I've ever seen for a 2A school. I mean, they're huge. He's done a great job. He's gotten a lot of kids. The kids that John didn't get for Venice, he got them. So and they've done a tremendous job. Yeah, they'll dispose of Vero, I think, pretty easily. They've averaged 52 points a game in the 2 playoff games, and they're a team you got to keep an eye on.
All right, get into Region 4. Booker T takes out Cardinal Gibbons 47-0. Also, Immaculate takes out Monsignor Pace 20-14. That's going to set up
rematch. A rematch of the district championship game where Booker T won by 17. Ice Harris has got those kids playing really, really well. They'll win this game and they'll move on to the next round.
All right, let's get right into 3A. Rains beats Wakula 63-7, and Bishop Kenny takes out Godby 36-24. Godby at Rains this Friday night, Larry.
Yeah, Kenny at Rains. I'm
sorry,
Kenny's.
Kenny.
Yeah, this shouldn't really be much of a game. Rains has been one of those teams all year long, very talented, athletic, up and down. A team that a lot of people thought in the preseason would be one of the top 5-10 teams, and they are. Kenny, as you said, they got they got by a pretty good Godby team. Godby kind of ran out of gas, but I just think Rains is just going to be too tough here.
All right, let's get into Region 2. Guys, Gallie takes out Titusville 44-7. And Bishop Moore, big on Denellen, 38-15, AJ.
Yeah, we saw both of these games coming, so to speak. I just thought EG they just had too many athletes for Titusville. And I knew there was some rivalry brewing within the county. But EG proved to be a very strong team, winning easily. And then Bishop Moore, I mean, Coach Hedrick, he just knows how to coach. The guys, they play well, they play fast, they play hard, and they were able to get the victory at home pretty easily as well. So it's going to be a big-time matchup here, big-time matchup.
I tell you what, Larry, there's a lot of talent in these two teams between Bishop Moore and Gallie here this Friday night.
Yeah.
One key thing is supposedly Kenyon Austin's out, injured.
Yeah.
For the rest of the year. But Baylin, Bjorn Jurgensen is getting a lot of attention in the message boards right now. Is he a flip next week?
No, we're gonna see. He's a Virginia Cavalier until otherwise. just like Brady Hart's going to Michigan. So let's just put those things to rest right now. But yeah, the storyline is Bjorn is really playing at a high level right now. He is doing things that we are expecting him to do, just like he did last year in their playoff run. I mean, they got all the way to, I believe, the Final Four, or at least this point last year. I think they lost to Bulls. But there's some revenge here, and he's playing at an all-time high. I was more impressed with that victory than O'Gallie, even though if you turn the page back, we talked about the O'Gallie-Titusville game last week. O'Gallie only beat him 7-3, so it was a really good matchup. They ended up blowing them out like we both called. But Bishop Moore, that was very impressive. Dunellen is usually a good team that controls the tempo of the clock. I didn't know how they were going to match up well with Bishop Moore being a high-tempo offense. I thought if they had a couple punch or 3 and outs that Dunellen could have squeaked by, even though we both did pick Bishop Moore to win the game. But in the way they won, this was ugly, and they were in control from the jump. So this is going to set up a really good matchup between really two good quarterbacks. You know, I just trained Joseph Allen yesterday. The one thing that he told me during the training yesterday is everybody's healthy. So O'Gallie healthy with what they got, that's a scary sight, especially this late in the season, which is probably why you're seeing these landslide scores the first 2 rounds. So, AJ, this is prediction time. This is 2 Central Florida teams. I'd love for you to go first so that you don't try to pick the same team that I'm going to pick here for Friday night.
I mean, Larry, what you think about this game, Larry? Let me hear what Larry got to say first.
Well, I'll tell you what. You take a look at Bishop Moore, and they played a lot better. I saw them in the game against St. Thomas, and it was nice when they were up 8-0, but that was it. I just think that St. Thomas is way too athletic. I don't think O'Gallie's that is athletic. I think Bishop Moore can win this game.
You know what? Call me crazy, but I'm supposed to go to Bishop Moore Thanksgiving tomorrow. Like, how I'm gonna pick EG and then go to the Thanksgiving practice. The kids are looking at me like, this guy really doesn't even believe in us.
Hey,
man.
AJ, you have a 1-game lead, man. You know,
I'm gonna sacrifice it, bro. Listen, I love EG, but it's just something about my Hornets, man. Coach Hedrick done been there. He's been to the top. He's won it all. It just scares me that they have to go to EG, but I'm rolling with Bishop Moore.
See, I was trying to set him up with the whole Joseph Allen thing, but I'm still doing it, guys. Guess what? I think O'Gallie wins this football game. I'm going O'Gallie here. I think that Joseph Allen, when he told me that they're healthy and that they're scary and they're rolling, I'm picking O'Gallie at home here. They're tough to beat. I mean, they've got an LSU commit. O'Gallie is, quarterback Joseph Allen. He's playing lights out, just like Bishop Moore's Bjorn Jurgensen. But I do believe O'Gallie does win this football game and advance to the Final Four. So we finally got an opposite prediction here. O'Gallie for the win.
So what you're saying is that tomorrow morning in College Park, you're not going. So
Baylin wasn't invited to begin with. Good. He's safe.
They're still in high school. I'm trying to get past that. They blocked me on social media after I never picked against them about years ago. So they got some other things that they got to deal with. Bishop Moore over there and their coaches.
Hey, watch it, buddy. Watch it. Watch it.
They could stay on their little high school trip and say,
watch it, buddy.
Will you enjoy your AJ?
Honestly, I've been hearing all week long that Bishop Moore cannot win this game without Kenyon Alston. I disagree. I think they have enough pieces on offense. I think Amari Johnson's running the ball very well.
Amari Johnson.
Bjorn isn't just a throwing quarterback. That kid can scat. And here's the other thing. A lot of people are starting to get this. Since Trenton Gummer has come back from his injury against St. Thomas Aquinas, I believe he's had a pick or a big play in every game since.
Big game. Yeah, little Trent Gummer, you got to give him his credit. He locked down. He's one of the better premier corners in Central Florida, and he showed it all year. And when he got injured, you saw the effect in the defense. So, hey.
I like his energy, but you might want to turn the Lake Mary tape on. But no, I love his energy and I love what he does. But yeah, no, he does bring a different dynamic to that defense for sure.
Man,
but,
it's Lake Mary. That's like talking about.
No. Look, Dan said every single game, so I'm just threw that one out there because
he said since the injury.
But he's an elite talent for sure. No joke.
Well, Lake Murray was after the injury, but still, I mean, all I'm saying is defensively, they've been playing very well. Okay, you're right. This was a very good Denellen team. So I like this game. This is going to be one of the highlight games. There's a couple other ones we're going to talk about here in a few, but I think this is going to be a great game at the end of the day. Let's move on. Region 3. Tampa Jefferson falls to Boca Ciega 42-0. How do we get a lopsided score at this point in the playoffs? Booker
Never saw that coming. Undefeated team.
Yeah.
It's had one of the best offenses all year long, one of the top quarterbacks. They've had their offensive line was big. I mean, there's just no way. I mean, if you were asking me for the game, I thought that this game would have been the other way. I thought it would be 42-0 Jefferson. But you know what? Give Boca Ciega credit. They move on. They got to play a pretty good Booker team. That's a 2 seed, but still a pretty good team. I think that, this is going to be a close game. Booker's done a great job. They got a lot of talent, but got to give Boca Ciega credit. They just beat, I think, one of the top teams in the region.
All right, let's move on to Region 4.
Let's
Northwestern.
Let's not. Cypress Lake, when they beat Key West last week, they figured, okay, well. Good in the first 2 games, think about this. Northwestern beat Naples Barron Collier 69-0, and then they came back and beat Naples Lely, a team that beat Barron Collier like 76-52, 64-12. This isn't even a game. Teddy Bridgewater gets his 10th win in his first year. Pretty decent.
Hey, I'm sure Cypress Lake's head coach is calling the FHSAA, man. Hurry up.
Yeah. Well, Lately tried that the week before.
I was about to say, does the FHSAA defeat Miami Northwestern this week?
Yeah. Well.
All right, let's get into 4A Region 1. St. Augustine takes care of Ed White, 38-14, Larry.
Great. And let me tell you something. This is a really competitive region, especially when you have Choctaw. Choctaw beat Arnold to open up things, and then they came back and beat a good Escambia team, pretty good last week. This is a really good matchup. You got St. Augustine in the state finals. They know how to get there. They're well coached. They got a lot of talent. Both on both sides of the ball. This is going to be a good one. The only drawback is that Fort Walton's got to travel the 5 hours, 6 hours in the time change, to go all the way to St. Augustine. But you know what? They're young kids. They could take it. And I think it's going to be a better game than people think. Last year, if you remember, Fort Walton Beach headed over and beat Buchholz last year. Mosley last year in that game. So Lakeland beat Buchholz last year. But yeah, this should be a good one in Region 1. We'll see what happens.
Who you got, Larry?
Right.
If you got to predict, who'd you
I think St. Augustine will win the game, but it's going to be a closer game than most people think. Choctaw's played a tough schedule this year. They lost a couple of early games.
Yeah, St. Augustine's got a good chance there. All right, let's get right into Region 2. Jones. It just seems like everybody wanted to be at this game, right? Jones takes out Zephyr Hills 41-18. I know you guys were there. Talk about it, AJ.
It was Jones all day. From the opening kickoff, I think Jones scored on their first drive, Baylin.
Yeah.
And it was Jones controlled the whole game. DC played a great game. He didn't play so good in the first half. I thought he was a little hesitant. I thought he took care of the ball, honestly, so that's a good thing. But there was a couple throws that I thought, I would have threw that. He didn't throw it, so he saved the turnover, all those kind of things. But the running back, Jaquel Smith, he had a monster game. Freshman sensation, Dimitri Pryor, he had another interception. I think he has now 7 interceptions as a 14-year-old freshman. Just crazy. So, I love everything about Jones. So, yeah, that was a great game by them.
Baylin?
Yeah, Jones, honestly, man, the fact that they're able to have a great run game like they're having right now, I think that's really the difference in this. They're dominating on the ground when a lot of people are scared for what they do in the air. So that shows you how well balanced this Jones football team is. And I think Dan, you alluded to him last week about how this might be the most complete offensive team that Coach Will has ever had, and he's always been to a Final Four or at least a regional final the last 8 years. So I mean, that's saying something, especially with what the talent that they have now. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. DJ Pickett better move to safety at the next level, because at corner they were having their way. It was Larry Miles or Vernell Brown. Vernell Brown was a man amongst boys on Friday night. He scored 2 touchdowns, made it look very easy. Larry Miles probably had to play the day on a post route that Moss number 5, DJ Pickett. I went to Miami the following day, and they were telling me the same thing. They watched the entire game. They obviously, because Darion's committed there, but they obviously really like Vernell Brown and going hard after him right now. We know he's solid at Florida. But they watched the game, and they're like, seeing it live, they're like, what do you think? I'm like, yeah, he's either going to be safety or a receiver. I mean, there's no way he can cover in space, and I don't want to talk bad about a kid, but Jones really exposed that, and that's why competition matters, and that's why Jones is prepared for these moments.
He's 6'5".
Right, 6'5". That's why he should be safety and not corner. I don't believe he should be.
Yeah, I mean, it's high school. I don't think he's gonna play corner next level. He's definitely a safety.
Sometimes you play your best athletes where they're going to fit in, and that's
imagine him as safety at 6'5" in high school. I mean, that's scary. So it's like
he was. Remember the interception? He was at safety on that interception.
Well, yeah, that was a double pass reversed by Larry. I don't know what he's doing.
Still at safety.
But okay. So, anyways, but Jones dominated, and I'm really excited about this matchup because Vanguard is usually the team Jones has to go through, and it's really hard to beat a good team twice. That's why I think, if you were to talk, as a Jones fan myself, Lake Wells would have been tough because, again, it's hard to beat a good team twice. So Vanguard got it done. But, yeah, Jones is the real deal.
Yeah, Larry, Vanguard takes out Lake Wells 30-23. I like Vanguard's play this year, but I've said it all year long. Jones is this is the most complete Jones team across the board. I mean, even defensively, they're playing exceptionally well. I like Jones going to state, and it's not going to stop this weekend. All right, guys. Region 3.
We both picked Jones.
Yeah, Jones.
I messed this up. I didn't get these scores done. Larry, help me out here. I made a flub here, but Port Charlotte and Jesuit. I believe Port Charlotte won that game.
Jesuit got blown out.
45-31. They beat them. Port Charlotte's one of those teams, guys, that don't sleep on them, because that's probably the team that Northwestern would have to play, in the state semifinals up there. Port Charlotte only losses this year: 7-point loss to Venice, 5-point loss to Naples First Baptist. Team that's loaded on both sides of the ball. They're big on defense. Yeah, and they go up against the Naples team that's a really good defensive team, not a lot on the offense. But you know what? Naples has always won. They have that stigma over there. But the big thing is they go on the road. Port Charlotte's a 1 seed, and I think they come out of that region and set themselves up, in a game the following week, against either American Heritage or Norland.
All right, let's get into 4A. American Heritage takes out Dillard 24-12 in Norland. Big over Archbishop McCarthy 31-19. Norland at American Heritage this Friday night, Larry.
Well, this isn't going to be really much of a game. Diabelle's out. He got hurt. He'll be, he'll be out for the rest of this year. Certainly, I hope that he heals up good. And Norland beat him the first time around, but in the game against Cocoa, where Jade Card got kicked out, the coaches had to know a lot better than the next week when they played Heritage to play him, because he already had gotten kicked out of a game, and that cost Norland a lot. Cost them a number 1 seed throughout. It cost them a home field advantage, which is huge, because if you play at Traz Powell Stadium, Norland could bring 6,000 people. But if you play at Heritage, you can only bring 1,500. And that's going to really, and that really hurts them, but I don't think it's going to hurt them this week. Norland's on all cylinders. EJ has done a tremendous job at quarterback. He's going for Israel's record over the next 2 weeks. He's got 15,000 yards, almost 17,000 total offensive yards in his 5 years. I just think Norland's going to be too tough to handle. And as you guys mentioned before,
5 years.
Yeah, he played at Charlotte, Champagnat. I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble, so
yeah. He played varsity as an 8th grader, just was not at the school that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Champagnat Catholic he played. But yeah, Norland goes in there, one of the best defensive lines. I don't know if you guys saw them when they played against Coco, but
they all look like they're all the same build, same everything. Twin brothers. You got two other freaks coming at FSU and FAU. I think they're doing really well on the D line over there.
Yeah, and their secondary is really good.
They got a sophomore kid that I love.
Dobson, yeah, he's really good. And they got a really good team. So I just think that American Heritage, loses a game. If Diabell was there, it'd be a different story because Diaz had a great year. Watched him against St. Thomas. He threw for 410. Even against Chaminade, he had a 385-yard game. So, yeah, that's a huge loss, guys, to have him out of the lineup. And they're going to have to use Malachi Toney, who's a University of Miami commitment at wide receiver, to play quarterback, but he did bring him back last week from a 14-0 deficit.
Yeah, Larry, didn't it also cost Norland a district title because they lost that game?
Yes, that's what I'm saying, Baylin. It not only cost them the district title because they beat Heritage, but it also cost them that home field advantage for the entire playoffs.
So this is a revenge game.
Yeah, well, it's revenge in the fact that they got the game taken away, but they won the game. Yeah. So, but I just don't see it. Defensively they're okay, but Norland's on a mission. They felt embarrassed last year when they lost to Berkeley Prep. They went into the game 13-0, and they honestly, I just like Heritage last year, they took Berkeley Prep for granted. Excuse me, and didn't understand that Berkeley Prep had that offense that consumed 7 minutes of drive because they ran it. And that's what happened. But, I don't think that's going to be – I just think that Norland's got a chance to win this thing 10 to 15 points.
All right, let's get right into 5A. Niceville squeaks back Ponte Vedra 21-20, and Lincoln takes out Fleming Island 16-13. Lincoln at Niceville, Larry.
Rematch. Niceville beat them in Niceville by 3 earlier in the year. Lincoln has had a really good year. They're on their way back. They lost to Gadsden, which is one of those games, community type of games. Lincoln's a really good football team. Niceville's a tough place to play, guys. I mean, I've seen some really good teams go up there and kind of get stifled a little bit. I think Niceville wins this, but like within 6 or 7 again.
All right, let's get into Region 2. Lakeland squeaks by Gaither 21-20. And Tampa Bay Tech beats Edgewater, puts the end of the Eagles season 28-17, AJ.
Yeah, it was wishful thinking for me to pick Edgewater last week. Full supportive of the program, but I knew Tampa Bay Tech was loaded offensively. That's a lot of talent on that team, a lot of Power 4 athletes, and they showed it. They got up on Edgewater early, and Edgewater they made it a competitive game, so to speak. But the reality was Tampa Bay Tech was in control of that whole game. Cardi Emmanuel played a pretty good game. I know he got nicked up during the game, but it's just a tough team to play. So hats off to Edgewater. They had a great season, but Tampa Bay Tech was just able to beat them.
Yeah, and Lakeland's, 2-time defending state champions. They've won 17, 18 in a row. They're a really good football team. But this is going to be a good game, and Lakeland cannot let their guard down.
No, I agree. Baylin, your thoughts on Tampa Bay Tech, Lakeland, or Edgewater, Tampa Bay Tech?
Yeah, Lakeland, honestly, is a lot closer than we thought. EJ Archfield, I think that he had a really good game against Lakeland. Almost let them on a comeback. I know they were down a couple scores early. Then Gaither started making their way back. But Lakeland is going to be the standard of this bracket. This was always going to be the team to beat. I think, we had wishful thinking, like AJ said, with Edgewater-Lakeland matchup. But, honestly, a lot of the Edgewater's success goes through the quarterback. And the first 2 drives of the game, Manuel Carter gets hit, and he has a high ankle sprain, and then he takes one series off, comes back, and then injures the other ankle. So, Carter played on 2 bad ankles the entire game pretty much. It's from the first quarter, and we know how Edgewater's run, especially the quarterback run game to set up the pass, that just was eliminated, and they found themselves in a big hole early. I believe they were up 3 scores at one point for Tempe Tech. Me and AJ were talking about the scores on the sideline. It just never seemed like it was close. I know they made like a little late fourth quarter push at the end there to cut it within 11, but it was Tampa Bay Tech all the way from the jump after Carter went down. So, and I texted Carter today, and he literally cannot really walk. He was going to come to my training tomorrow just to watch. Like it's pretty bad. One ankle is pretty much more bad than the other, and so it's just that's not a good deal, man. It stinks because again, Carter had such a good year and Edgewater was rolling, but it's hard when your whole offense really runs through Carter Emanuel. So great job to Tampa Bay Tech. Sets up for a crazy game in the regional final, and I still believe Lakeland is the team to beat.
All right, Larry popped out real quick. He'll be back. All right, let's get right into Region 3. And Manatee beats Immokalee 54-8. Fort Myers drops to Riverdale. Riverdale at Manatee, and guys, I like Manatee to continue to roll. Jacquez Green and the Hurricanes have been playing really well. All right, let's get right into Region 4. Atlantic beats Miramar 35-29.
Sorry, guys. I don't know
Larry's
what happened.
coming back in. Larry, Atlantic beats Miramar 35-29, and then St. Thomas Aquinas just rolls over Blanche Eli.
Yeah, this is when St. Thomas they're like that shark in the water now. They smell that blood. And this is the first time, guys, in 25 years that St. Thomas hasn't been a 1 seed. They're a 2 seed in the region. They've lost 3 times, but they'll beat Atlantic this week. Like I said, they're playing real well. Did we already go over the Riverdale Manatee game?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
go
Jack
ahead, go back
job.
To Riverdale Manatee right there in Region 3.
Yeah. That most likely Bradenton Manatee will win that game and then maybe host St. Thomas, which will be kind of a rematch of what they did like 10, 12 years ago up there as well.
Yeah, no, I like I was saying, I love where Manatee is this year. This is probably the best that Jacquez Green has had these guys playing so far in his tenure there as the head coach.
Yeah, he's done a great job.
All right, let's go to Region 6. Nice drops to Oakleaf 31-14, and Buchholz drops to Pace.
Larry.
Yeah.
Buchholz in there. So Oakleaf plays Pace this Friday night.
No, Buchholz beat Pace, 34 to
24. I got it right. Buchholz hosts Oakleaf this Friday
Oakleaf, yeah. Buchholz is a really good team. They beat Cardinal Newman earlier this year. They were a team that had that nice run last year before Lakeland beat them. They're at home. I mean, Oakleaf's got a really good team. They got a really good defense. I think Buchholz beats them. It'd be close, but I think they get them.
Guys, Jack McKissick, quarterback from Oakleaf, from the First Academy, TFA, takes a shot and goes up north of Jacksonville and just beat Nice, which was
nice.
Former coach and Colin Draft. Nice, to most of the rankings, which, again, don't know how they do that, had Nice number 1 in the entire state of Florida. Have no idea why that was, but they got pummeled. But, yeah, shout out to my boy, Jack McKissick. Love that kid. So glad and happy for him. This is a good game, and I would not be surprised if Oakleaf does win this football game, even though Buchholz is the favorite. I like Oakleaf for this one. This is not a prediction, though, AJ. I'm just throwing it out there.
Because I damn sure would have picked Buchholz, so we could pick it if you want.
Nah.
Yeah, I
would.
Enjoy
it. Just enjoy it. Jack McKissick. Let's go.
You love Jack so much. Let's bet.
I'm not dumb either. Hey, I like Miami, but they ain't beating Georgia, so let's keep going.
All right,
well, I know you guys are going to reserve your opinion for this next region because this is going to be a game that people don't want to sleep on.
All right, so let's get right into Region 2. Armwood beats Plant 21-17, and Osceola continues to roll behind Tavion Swinton, that defense, 35-6. Osceola's going down I-4 and play Armwood this Friday night, AJ.
Yeah, Chick was very, very impressive. 172 yards, 2 touchdowns. But I want y'all to think about this, and this is crazy because I was thinking about it earlier today, and I don't want Chick to think it's disrespectful, but this is arguably the first time in his career that the other running back on the other team is better, or people think that he's better. Normally, it's a clear-cut Chick, the best running back. This time,
Pringle's
Pringle's
a dude.
Pringle's a dude of dudes. So
just ask Norland how they felt when they saw him in the preseason.
Yeah, I love Osceola. I love what they've been doing.
Yeah.
Armwood, I think Armwood personally is like top 2 or 3 teams in the whole state.
Yeah.
So
we got him too, right behind Lakeland. But
see how smart I am? I got him.
Yeah.
See how smart I am?
To me, though, I think the little chink in the armor came last week against Plant, and it shows that people have been sleeping on Osceola all year. They tore up Vero. They went out last week and beat a good Plant City Durant team. I would not sleep on this game. I know Armwood's really good and they're 12-0 and all that, but Osceola kind of rises to the occasion when you don't think they're going to do it. And Dan told me earlier in the season that this could be a surprise team, and you're right.
I think they're going to line up. Armwood knows it's coming. They're telling him it's coming. They're running the ball right at him. And we all know what Osceola's defense. Elijah Menendez, Robert Lee in the middle, man. I tell you what, they're playing really good D, and I think this is going to be a really good game.
Oh,
I sit right into Region 3.
Hey.
They got to pick it. They got to pick it.
Oh, God. Let's go. AJ, who you got?
No, Baylin. What? Baylin, go. What you have to say?
Yeah, Dad, come on, bro. He literally just picked it. He's going Armwood here. He just said that. I didn't get to say a word. I'm waiting for you to give me the mic.
What?
Baylin,
what
please,
you got?
take the mic.
All right, look, here we go. Let's be honest, okay? Osceola is a sleeper team. Plant pretty much showed the game plan and the blueprint to really keep Armwood under control here because this was a tight football game. So I'm definitely still picking Armwood to win this football game. Ain't no way I'm picking Osceola. Hey, AJ took the words out of my mouth because I told him at the Jones game, I believe Armwood is the best team in the entire state of Florida, no matter what. I don't care if you talk about Lakeland. I don't care if you talk about Northwestern, Chaminade, all that. I believe from roster all the way down, from a game standpoint, from a game plan, Armwood is the best team in the state of Florida, and they're going to beat Osceola Friday night.
Larry, I'm going to let you respond to Baylin's bold statement.
Like I said, I think Osceola's got a much better than a puncher's chance. Believe me, I've watched them on tape. I've seen them. They're real, as you said, Dan. They're really good defensively. They will control the run. They're not going to let Pringle go for 200 yards. It's just.
Did you see Norland's defensive line? And did you see what that kid did against them? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, guys. I'm sorry.
Well, that was okay. If you want to really get technical like that, Vanguard had no first downs and lost 38-0 to Central in the preseason. No first downs.
But Vanguard is nothing to talk about, really.
No, but I'm just saying they're in the region finals at 11-1.
Because look at their region, though. I mean, I guess
I know, but I'm just saying, how much does preseason mean? I don't know how
it meant enough to that Norland Armwood game where they put a trophy out there, and those guys were celebrating like they won the dang national title.
No, I'm with you, Larry. Though I think Osceola definitely has a chance. I don't think this is a blowout. I think this is going to be a game of a game, and I think the worst thing for Osceola was playing Armwood so tough that Armwood knows, like, okay, we got.
They just can't roll out the ball and just and do it. And just look back a couple of years, the last 2 years, Baylin, when Osceola had to play Lakeland, and it was only 14-7. It was only 14-7 both times, and that's what I'm saying. Osceola.
Hey, I'm just overhyping this game. Obviously, I want Osceola to honestly win. It helps us, but
you're 100% right. Armwood's a beast.
Hey, Blue. When Osceola played those games versus Lakeland, Bo Masco and Jakeem Jackson and Derek LeBlanc and John Walker.
Different breeds over there, bro.
Those guys ain't coming out of the locker room.
No. But they got other guys, Melendez, and they got Lee, and they got other guys to make plays too.
Guys, this Armwood team, you better turn the tape on, guys.
You're right. I mean, I'm not
we better spend this much time on this game next week.
This game is a good game, Dan. This is probably the game of the week right here.
I agree.
The biggest upset in all the games we're talking
about. It's not going to be that
this
big.
Would be massive upset. Armwood is the number 1 team in the entire state. Come on, guys.
2.
Or 2.
I said 2 or 3.
They're not beating Chaminade Madonna on any day. All right, let's go.
Okay.
West Boca takes out Mitchell 38-7, Larry. Wiregrass Ranch continue to play ball 38-7.
I was there. They sucked me into 2 11-0 teams, and Mitchell got the clock run on them in the third quarter. And then here's the crazy part of this game is Wiregrass lost to Mitchell by 28 the week before. So this should not be much of a game. West Boca, guys, they're the deal. They're the deal. This is the furthest this school's ever gone. They could be 13-0 after this week. They host all the way. So they're going to get an opportunity to be the first time that they're going to go to state. They even play without the one of the number one running backs in the state, if not the nation, last year in the 2026 class. But really good football team. I don't think this is going to be much of a game.
Dylan Rose Bailey. Let's go.
Oh, yeah, that's okay.
All right, guys. South takes out Monarch 20-14. West Broward takes out Piper 35-6. West Broward is going to Southridge, Larry.
Yeah. This is going to be a better game than most people think because West Broward's got athletes. They got Joshua Moore, the wide receivers, going to University of Miami. They've got a really, really good team. But this is a Southridge program that they woke up to during the GMAC week in October when they lost by 13 to Booker T. Washington. This is not the Southridge of old back in the days with Lamont Green and all those players, but this is a good football team. They're a number one seed for a reason. And I think they win this game. At home, not a tough place not an easy place to play.
All right, let's get right into 7A. Guys, Lake
Let
Mary.
the battle begin.
Lake Mary, Spruce Creek. This was a really good game early. Lake Mary pulls away 52-32. Baylin. Baylin, you're muted again.
Sorry, I'm just getting hyped for this thing here. So, yeah, I was watching the Lake Mary game on the sideline next to AJ as we were watching the Jones game, and I turned it off at one point because it was 24-6 Lake Mary. Next thing you know, my dad texted me because he's watching at his house. He's like, the game is a 7-point game at halftime or 6-point game. I'm like, what are you talking about? I turned it on. There was like a hitch and like a hook and ladder for a touchdown, then a pick six. So then it was close. And then Lake Mary just poured it on him in the second half behind our key to the game. Last year would have been huge if he would have been healthy. Isaiah Thomas is the X factor in this whole deal. I'm telling you, if they establish a run game, they are hard to beat because, as we know, everybody's preparing for the pass. So go ahead, play 8 deep if you want to. We're just going to hand the rock to our boy and let him do what he does. So, this is it wasn't even close. Spruce Creek, great season. We both picked Lake Mary to win this football game. They didn't really need Noah Grubbs to do much of anything in this game to beat them by 20. So that might change this week, obviously. But, yeah, Lake Mary dominated fast over Spruce Creek.
AJ?
Yeah, I talk about the other matchup, looking at Seminole and OC University. Seminole had to overcome some adversity. It was a tight game. OC University was winning, but Seminole found a way to win. They didn't play their best ball. But this is typical Bo-Keep football.
Kamani Robinson had like 150 yards rushing.
Yeah, 170, 150 some yards rushing.
Guys,
20 carries.
The X factor in this football game was their pick six, Amari Griffin, aka Batman. When they were down, he took a pick six to the crib. And they took the lead for the first time, 17-14. That was the difference in this football game. I want to give him a big shout out because he works hard, man. That kid is a hard worker. Charles Carr over there does a great job with him. He's obviously big in that community. But when he got that pick six, it changed the entire momentum of that football game. Even though OC really responded on the next drive and took the lead back 20-17, that difference in that 7-point swing was why Seminole won by 4 here. So I want to give him a quick shout out. He's underrated. No one really talks about him. He's a really good football player.
No, that's
Larry,
a good point.
So Larry, I'm just going to let you kind of key in on this. This is one of the biggest rematches everybody looks forward to almost every year. This is what we're looking at. Yeah. Seminole goes to Lake Mary this time. Yeah. Regular season, it was at Seminole. In my opinion, I don't think these are the same. Either team is the same team we saw earlier in the year, Larry.
I think Lake Mary wins only because of the intangibles, and then they, obviously Baylin, Noah, and you know what he's capable of. But I think that they win the line of scrimmage, and I think that's what's going to do it in this game. And it's going to be close. It's going to go down to the fourth quarter, but I think that Lake Mary comes out.
Baylin.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna, or I guess we're gonna break down the game and give the prediction at the same time. I do agree with Larry there. If again we talk about the trenches, I think that's a very big point of emphasis when we talk about playoff time and going to the next level. Again, this whole entire year, Noah has been sacked one time against Evans. That was the only time, and even last year he got sacked against Evans, and I was brought that to my attention by Coach Odom. Shout out to my boy. But yeah, Lake Mary's offensive line, unbelievable. I think that's where they win. And then again, we just talked about Isaiah Thomas. With that offensive line, they can really do anything they want. I think he really becomes the X factor in this football game because Lake Mary and Seminole know they have one person to key on. It's Noah Grubbs. You key on Noah, then guess what? They think they have a chance. Well, then you have to worry about Isaiah Thomas. And I believe if he was healthy last year against Mandarin, I hate bringing up the past because it's the past, but they showed the dominance in the second, the first time they played to the second time. I think the run game here is what takes Lake Mary to the next level. I think that's really what separates them in this game. I think Noah has a really good game, manages the game well, but Isaiah Thomas is the X factor. Seminole's finally healthy. There's no more excuses. We heard it on the sideline when they were dapping up at the end when they beat Seminole 29-14. Oh, we didn't have our quarterback. Well, guess what? Now we finally got it. Noah Grubbs versus Michael Clayton. Well, this is going to be a shootout. This is going to be a fun one to watch. It's going to be close. Not going to be no mollywop, AJ. I know you wait me to say that. Not going to happen. I think Coach Calhoun brings the best out of Noah, which is why I'm picking Lake Mary to win this football game. I think that Noah rises to the occasion. The time that I knew Lake Mary was real, because I honestly was not sold on them, even though they just beat Cardinal Gibbons, is when they went toe-to-toe with Lakeland. And they should have won that game by 10, which is double digits. They missed a field goal, and they lost. But Lake Mary showed that they can hang with the big boys. I don't think Seminole's on the level of Lakeland. Seminole had to come back twice right now against OC University and against Creekside to win in those games, which is resilient. They've done enough to do that. They have enough talent to do it on a roster standpoint. Lake Mary, this is the season. I believe they beat Seminole. Noah will go 3-2 over the Noles as a starting quarterback at Lake Mary, and they find themselves to the Final Four. But David Parks is the reason why it's not going Seminole's way, because they could easily win. I think because he's not playing, that hurts Seminole.
Yeah, it's a tough game to decide from. I think the difference for me is Seminole is healthy now. But as you mentioned, they had 2 comebacks the last couple of weeks. They're healthy and they're hitting the stride the last 2 weeks. But Lake Mary has been in this stride for the last 7, 8, 9 weeks since the Dr. Phillips game. Since Dr. Phillips, Lake Mary has been a machine. And I do believe that Seminole will bring the best out of Noah Grubbs. And I just don't think that I personally, I wouldn't want to see the best out of Noah Grubbs if I was the opposing coach. I think that Lake Mary is a very underrated team as far as sticking together, playing together. They don't make mistakes. And they're at home. I know the crowd is going to be crazy at Lake Mary. I'm going to go with Lake Mary as well. I like Lake Mary.
This game,
I'm going to make a bold statement here, guys.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
And you know what? I don't make bold statements. Larry, I think the winner of this game is playing at Pitbull Stadium in a couple of weeks.
No, for sure. For sure. That's without question.
Without a doubt. Seminole wins, they're going to state. Lake Mary wins, they're going to state. Yeah. That's...
One more thing.
It'll probably be Dr. Phillips versus this winner in the state semifinals because
and Lake Mary wants everything about that game. They want that game back. Trust me when I tell you.
Yeah. And they would get it at home.
Because most likely Columbus or Western would have to go to Venice. I'd love to say West Orange, but they just they squeak by them against your Apopka Blue Darter.
There's 3 teams that I would hate to play in the playoffs at home: Venice, Lake Mary, and Seminole. Those 3 teams at home in the playoffs are very hard to beat. So
Yeah.
Lake Mary having the home field advantage against Seminole, and if they play Dr. Phillips or Vero Beach, doesn't matter. That's the key here. Seminole would still have, I believe, the home field. I think Dr. Phillips would. If
Dr. Phillips would. They're the two, yeah.
Yeah, that might
Yeah.
be interesting. So I still think Seminole wins that game if they do. So what doesn't matter.
All right, let's get right into Region 2, man. Venice knocks off Newsom 56-17. And West Orange.
Dude.
Yeah.
You guys didn't give them a chance last week. West Orange beats Plant City 26-25. West Orange is going to Venice.
I thought we both picked West Orange.
Now we both
did?
City. Remember, we were like, yeah, West Orange's season is done.
Well, it's done this week. I'll tell you that much, bro. I ain't trying to hate. I ain't trying to hate on them boys. Because, listen, I publicly go out to say, if I had a vote, Gino, I would vote for you, Coach of the Year. What you
Done a
did
great job.
Amazing
was
job.
fantastic, amazing. Those kids have played great all year. But yeah, this is they gonna have flashbacks of the last time West Orange had to go down there to Venice with Gibby and all those boys. What was this, like 4 or 5 years ago?
That was like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
They
5 years
don't
ago.
want to remember that game at all.
They don't, I think this is gonna be nasty work right here, man. Venice is real good, bro. And look, bro, this is gonna be nasty work. But West Orange, congratulations, y'all had a great season. And yeah, but I like Venice to win this game.
Enjoy the 5-hour bus ride and
See, Larry agree with me, man.
Venice is at a different level.
AJ, I hate to say it, but there's nothing that came out of your mouth that was wrong at all.
Wow, that's
game-
unusual between you two.
This game is going to get so ugly. I don't even think Dan's going to feel so bad. We're not even going to talk about this game next week. It's going to be one of those ones where like, hey, didn't we miss a West Central Florida team? And you're like, nope, guys, that's a wrap. That's a show. This is going to get ugly. Now, awesome job for Plant City because Plant City laid an egg. They're up 25-10 in the fourth quarter and lost. So great job to West Orange in their comeback. But yeah, there's no reason to think that this game is going to be close. I'm sorry. Molly Wop to the highest degree. Great job, West Orange. Good.
Now, look, I'm not going that far. I don't want to be that disrespectful. I'm just saying.
AJ, imagine a 5-hour bus drive to Venice at Venice and like no chance. I'm sorry, no chance. No chance.
Yeah, bro.
You get off that bus.
They can't. They can't go.
Nervous.
They can't go a day early because that's Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
so you know they leaving Friday morning. That's
hey,
sweet.
you know what? They might get beat so bad that running clock might hit so fast that they can actually go Black Friday shopping. They will be back before midnight, and they'll go to the outlets and they'll be talking about that game.
Hey, go, Dan, go on, move on, bro. Hey,
I got you. 3-3.
Crazy, dog.
Vero Beach knocks off Palm Beach Central 21-20, and Dr. Phillips blanks Jupiter 35-0.
Yeah.
Dr. Phillips hosts Vero Beach. Another guys, this is gonna be a barn burner this Friday night.
Hey AJ, you talk about Coach of the Year. I think you got to give Coach Wells a little bit of that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Because at the beginning of the year, no one would have said Dr. Phillips would have beaten Lake Mary and been 11-1.
Nah, I agree with you on that one.
Good point. I will say, hey, all jokes aside, West Orange, he might.
You already buried him. You can't bring him back.
Hey, listen.
He's done a great. I thought they were going to go 3-7. Next year, they're in a regional final. So against Venice.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Dr. Phillips, Vero Beach, AJ.
Who you got? I like Dr. Phillips. I'm team DP all day.
Yep.
This is a complete team. I told y'all a long time ago, I think this is a special season for Dr. Phillips. When I picked them to beat Lake Mary, I knew at that point, I said, man, this Dr. Phillips team is different. I think that they beat Vero Beach. I don't know, disrespect to Vero Beach, but I think that DP will control this game. And I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Lake Mary will just beat Dr. Phillips in the next round. But I like Dr. Phillips in this particular matchup. So, yeah, let's go DP.
Baylin?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not going to pick against Dr. Phillips in this one, not at all. I think Dr. Phillips at home, they're a really good football team. I don't think they beat Lake Marion a second time. Like I just mentioned before, it's hard to beat a good team twice. And let's not mention the 6 injuries that took place for Lake Marion in that football game, which again, he still has to play the game.
And we'll get to that game when it happens.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Well, I'm just saying, well, to get to that game, they got to get through this game, which is why I'm predicting Dr. Phillips to win that game. So Dr. Phillips will beat Vero Beach at home, and they'll comfortably go to the Final Four, and hopefully we see a rematch. If not, we'll have a good game against Seminole. So either one, we win.
Larry, I agree. I don't think this is the same Vero Beach program that we've seen the last few years. There's just a couple pieces missing there. Incredible year, but I like Dr. Phillips as well.
Yeah, no, but they have played a pretty good schedule. They beat Booker T. Washington earlier in the year. They came back and, like you said, beat Palm Beach Central, a team that was 11-1. But I agree. I've been following Dr. Phillips all year long. They have a lot of kids, a lot of young kids that have stepped up for them this year. They're very talented. Frank Ponce, who's the offensive coordinator for App State, went up and watched them earlier this year, or a couple of weeks ago, and said, they're really well coached. They do a lot of good things. They got some good athletes. I agree with you. And it'll be really good for the Orlando area to have, two teams facing each other for the state semis too.
I think, Larry, you missed. I think he was talking about Edgewater because that was the game he went to, and Dr. Phillips looked bad. So
yeah, it was the Edgewater Dr. Phillips game. They got beat bad. Yeah, that's what he said, that he was impressed with the team, though.
Oh, okay.
No, you're right. He
finally
went to that Edgewater game.
Finally, Columbus is right back in this again, 28-7 over South Dade, Larry, and Boca Raton gets blanked by Western, 42-0.
Yeah, this is kind of the most deceiving game of everybody in the state. Western's a 7 seed at 6-6, but take away the 2 losses. They beat West Boca, who, as I said before, is undefeated now because of that. And their losses were to St. Thomas, Chaminade, American Heritage, and Hoover of Alabama, who is right now 11-3.
Larry,
I remember that after Columbus lost.
Wasn't every game competitive too? There was no really blowouts. Like
no, other than the Heritage game was 51-12. But the thing is you take a look at this program, and I remember back in the spring when Columbus went and played Sarasota Riverview and Bishop Vero. Our good friend Andy Villamarzo said, there's no way Columbus gets back to the state finals. They're just not that good. And I said, well, you know what? You're talking about the spring. You're talking about easily one of the top coaches in Dave Dunn and his staff. And this is a 2:00 game on Friday afternoon. This is, it's like a caravan. Everybody goes from there to either South Ridge or to the Heritage game after. This is one of the great games. Westerns play really well. I mean, they really have over the last couple of weeks. They went down and beat Palmetto. They went up and beat a Boca team that had only lost once. But Columbus is one of those teams that will grind you down. They're a great defensive team. They're not the offense. They don't, Mendoza's moved on, so they've had like quarterback by committee. But this is really a really good game. And I couldn't even, I was on with Joe Rose this morning. I told him I'm like Kirk Herbstreit. I don't pick games that I'm going to, because if I do, I catch hell. So, you can't walk into a stadium after after you pick somebody. But yeah, this is a great first round match. The only drawback is the winner gets Venice next week.
Hey, we should start adopting that method, man. We pick teams. I got to pick a team and then go to Coco.
Nah, that's not – AJ, that's what you need to avoid. You really do.
That's why.
But Dan won't let you do that, so.
That's why I don't pick games.
Dan, you just predicted.
He's gonna go 1-0 this year. So I got the doctor.
Dan, you just predicted that. Who did he predict to win?
Dr. Phillips. He's like,
you predicted Dr. Phillips to win.
But he's not going to that game.
You didn't even know it.
I'm not going.
Yeah, what?
You're right. I'll be 1-0 this year. I have a higher percentage of both you clowns, so that's just how it's going to be. All right, guys, listen. What a great show! What a great set of games coming up here on Friday night. Very competitive across the state of Florida. Final thoughts, AJ?
Man, I think that this is a year that Central Florida, I think that we really have a realistic shot at 1 to 2 champions. I think that Jones is a real player, and I think the winner of Dr. Phillips or Lake Mary or Seminole, I think that between those 4 teams, I think we got a realistic chance of winning 2 championships. Then if you add in Cocoa, that there's a third. So yeah, I think that Central Florida is going to be represented well. They've done a great job. So congratulations to all the teams out there. Best of luck. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Happy Thanksgiving to you fellas. Enjoy the time with the family, and be thankful. And that's about it.
Baylin, we talked about this at the beginning of the season, that we felt like Central Florida football could size up with South Florida football. We have the talent. We have the programs. We could walk away with 3 state championships right here out of Central Florida.
You know why? Because the quarterback headquarters is right here in Central Florida, and that's why we have an opportunity to go win a couple of state titles, because we have the best quarterbacks from top to bottom here in Central Florida. That's all I got to say about that, and I'm putting my stamp on it. And I believe in it, and that's why you're going to see at least 3 champions from this area.
And one more question. One more question, Baylin. Does Miami cover against Syracuse?
Miami.
What's the spread?
10.
It's 11 or 10.
Oh, it's up to 11 now?
Yeah, I believe Miami wins comfortably. I believe it's like 42-21.
Wow. McCord will throw 90 times in the game, I'm telling you.
About 5 picks.
Yeah, he's gonna have 500 yards too.
He'll have 5 picks, and I'm telling you, you better turn that Pittsburgh game on. But anyways, it doesn't matter. He can have a great game. You got to see Cam Ward indoors with no X factors. Yeah, give me Cam Ward all day, 500 yards himself with 5 touchdowns. No chance.
Well, I'll add to that. You got 2 great quarterbacks who are going to put up numbers, but Syracuse will never stop Miami in the ground. Miami will go for 250 on the ground between Lyles and Martinez, but it's going to be a close game. It's a tough place to play. They're going to be pumped up. They know that they can knock Miami off, and the unfortunate thing with the way things are, guys, today, that if Miami loses the game, then their bowl game will suck because no one will play. And I have a strong feeling about that. Everybody jumps on me. Oh, well, they can get CTE. But they can't get CTE when they play in the playoffs or if they play in the conference championship, but only if they play in a bowl game. I just got to say that from Pensacola area all the way down to South Dade County, this has been a really, really good year. Forget about pockets. Forget about South Florida or anybody. I just think the entire state of Florida has been under a great positive microscope. It's been a tough year for our friends up in North Florida with the hurricanes, and especially in Perry and some of those other areas that are affected. But we hope that those people tomorrow have a outstanding Thanksgiving, spend time with their families in a really, really important year. And I wish you guys and I thank you a lot for having me on, and I wish you all a great holiday. And certainly I always enjoy following you guys. I always watch every week, and it was a pleasure being on with you.
Larry, before we sign off, we got a big camp on January 19th at Boone High School, the Florida Prep Red Zone camp showcase. Let's talk about that a little bit.
It's going to be really good. I mean, we found out as Baylin said that the quarterbacks from Central Florida usually show up, and they did 2 years ago. And we had Jorgensen, and we had all the kids that were really, really good. Nico Boyce from Baron Collier came. This is a really good opportunity because it's in a centrally located place, being at Boone High School. So it's not far from the coast. It's not far from North Florida. It's an hour and a half, 2-hour ride from Gainesville, also from Central Florida. Last year, we had some really good kids. We had the kid Kent Dobson, who you were talking about before, defensive back from Norland, who was only a freshman last year. We had some really good talent that showed up. And as you said, just go to PrepRedzone.com, and we run on our and Dan will have the link as well. If you sign up early, get 25% off, and it's really a good thing. You get a lot of the college coaches, because the major college coaches can't work it, but the NAIA colleges can. And Kaiser, who's a defending national champion and #1 this year, they're going to send 4 coaches, Weber, Warner, all those schools, and it's going to give you, especially with Dan's going to be there and myself. Hopefully, AJ, you and Baylin can come out as well and kind of,
Drew Johnson will be up. Drew will be up.
Give your input. We'll have we're looking for last year Chris Hayes came out, and I appreciate him. So it's gonna be nice, and it's gonna be an opportunity. It's well run. It's a very, you go to those events like that, and most likely, Baylin, when you go to a Rivals or those, only the studs get their name out there, like last year Buchanan. But the thing about ours is everybody who comes, every single person who comes gets a film out, gets talked about, and at least gets a college interest. And plus having those NAIA schools there, and most of those kids will play at that level. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, and we saw some surprises too.
Yes,
we saw some real surprises last year.
Well, a certain defensive end from Popka kind of turned it out a little bit too.
Yeah, Kingston Shaw. I mean, that was kind of his coming out party at defensive end, moving down from linebacker. So there was a lot of great talent, and I encourage every kid in Central Florida to go to PrepRedzone.com, go to Florida, and register for the camp. It's going to be a really good one. And like Larry writes about everybody who's there. And again, just the eyeballs are going to be there. It's going to be amazing. All right, let's finish this thing up. Happy Thanksgiving. We have a lot to be thankful for. Everybody enjoy your family. Enjoy the football. This is the Central Florida High School Scoreboard Show, and we will see you next week.
Sports Nation. Unleash the champion within.